crazy stuff on the video.
Crazy stuff to attract attention, the carnival,
Yeah.
right? Kale, your question is?
I just don't see what the harm of like using it in a music video is. It's like not. I don't know what anything negative that was like
Portrayed?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's also not our culture. Like, we have no idea what that could mean in a different culture, like that, those clothes.
Yeah, but like,
Yeah.
why is it bad to represent other cultures?
What
Yeah,
if
it's
you?
not a
If it's not in a
If you
respectful
show it.
way, it's not, I don't see how it builds anything.
How is it
I don't see how it's
disrespectful to
necessarily
show
dis-
Okay, so
But
wait,
do you
we
know
have one
what artful
point.
clothing means?
We have a point that says the imagery in the video doesn't really represent the information in the song. That's one. You're saying that it's no harm, you're just showing other cultures.
And it's also he wasn't like the only one in it wearing clothes. It might have been different if he was just wearing that with like.
But there were other black people in there wearing that clothes, so therefore it made it okay.
Well, I mean,
I don't know. My
See,
thing
No,
is,
don't put it that way. How would you put it to make that okay? How would you write
well, I
that
don't
to
think
say
it
that?
means anything bad if there was. They probably agreed with him wearing it. He was with them.
Okay.
but other people, like, my thing is, look at, like, I'm not trying to get into anything
No,
here,
no, it's
but,
good.
like,
This is
Lil
good.
Nas
This is
X's videos
argument.
and Nicki Minaj and all those ones where there's 20 times worse stuff, but then there's people complaining about this, like,
But see, is
makes
that
no
an
sense.
argument? I mean, is it?
probably, yeah.
Is it so you're using comparison, right?
Yeah, it's
So
just-
if it's okay for this person to do it, then it's okay for this person to do it. But is that an argument? Could you make that argument in an academic paper and get away with it?
It's okay for Lil Nas X to dance with 12 other black dudes in a shower in the video, but then
But
on
maybe
here
it-
you can't have a black person in the background.
So let's think of context. In this list, like when we're criticizing representation, just because one video is being criticized, does that mean the others are not? So then, is that really a valid argument to make? Like, can you make that argument and it change the mind of your audience?
No, because look at
It's a-
minor half the world.
Right, but see, what that argument does is it says it's not fair to criticize this one and not criticize the other one. So that you go criticize the other one and you criticize this one, nobody has made any ground, you've just said it's not fair to do that. So when you're setting up an argument, you have to think really carefully about how are you presenting that argument. So it's okay to show other cultures. But is it okay to show other cultures if the way they are shown is not accurate?
I think, like, I do think that it's a ridiculous video and it's not, like, related at all to the song, but that is pretty common in music videos. I think a music video is supposed to show that, like, no matter what culture we are, we can all pretty much unify, because it's, like, 400 different cultures that are all just dancing.
Yeah, it's not like they're
partying.
making fun of just one in there.
I think there's the message that they're trying to push is that, like, we can all get along pretty much.
Right, Michael, you were going to make a statement earlier, not to cut you off. You were going to state.
I'm reading some stuff.
Oh,
about
first?
That. Looking
Okay.
into before I.
Any
make a
other
statement.
comments? I want to give other people a chance to make any comments.
Not on the video, but the title of the whole thing is 17 songs we'd be happy never to hear again. But the song had nothing to do, like what we're talking about has nothing to do with hearing it, it's just seeing the video.
So in some of the songs on the list, the criticism is of the lyrics and not the video. And some of the songs are criticism of the video and not the lyrics, and then some it's both. Does that make sense? So what did Danny DeVito say at the beginning of the video? That this is about art. So then that's supposed to, I might interpret, so we keep going back and forth between interpretation, analysis, and personal reaction, right? So there's this flow back and forth, and we have to recognize as we move through an argument where we are. When are you providing analysis? When are you providing your sort of gut reaction? So Luke, your argument about you know, well, if you're going to criticize this, you need to criticize this, or whatever. That's more, that's less interpretive. That's more of like your kind of gut reaction, right? A way we feel about something, where it's like, this isn't fair, something's not right about this. And then you move into the critical analysis, where you start to take pieces of the source and just within that source start picking them apart and thinking about what they mean. So we make meaning of them, right? And then we interpret the implications of that. What are the implications of that meaning? Do you guys have any questions about that? So how can we then apply that to King's essay? What were your reactions with King and his, what did you think about his essay? And if we get a chance, I'm going to come back to the representation, cultural representation. I don't know if it'll flow, but just if anybody remembers, remind me that I want to do that. Okay. So, what about this essay? Thumbs up, sideways, or down? Your reaction to it. Some sideways, a lot of sideways. Okay, a few ups. All right, so have at it.
I thought it was captivating, but the message was kind of stupid. Like, it was very easy to read with the way it was formatted, and it was like interesting. The stories were all cool, but his overall message was just like, I don't know. Like, my interpretation of it was that he thought that stories basically, he just made it seem like stories are a huge deal and that they directly impact major aspects of people's lives, which, like, may be the case for some people, but I don't know. He just made it seem like it was way bigger of a deal than it actually was.
Okay.
I think the point he was making in that was less about these vague stories such as creation, although they sometimes do for some people mean a lot, but more the stories that we tell ourselves about life and who we are and what we do. For instance, the story about how his father had left him and how he told himself all the time that it was because his father didn't like him and his mother stayed because she loved him. Most likely, the father left for some other reason. Most fathers do not hate their kids. Some do, but most don't. And there was nothing overly special about the situation of his father leaving and his mother staying. But in order for him to deal with that and contain that anger and manage it, that is the story he told himself, and that defined a major part of him. And it's stories like that that I think he's making a big deal about, because he didn't really seem to care all too much about the importance of the Iroquois creation story of the turtles. In the way he presented it, he was talking about how he often tells it to children, and that a lot of the details don't really matter. And he barely skimmed over the Christian creation myth or story or legend, because everybody already knows it. He was really focusing in on stories of his own life and the way he interpreted his own life and how people interpret their lives, and how that will change. Your view of what your life is will change how you approach life, which will change life.
Other comments about storytelling?
It made me think of the saying, there's always two sides to a story.
Okay.
Like, growing up in a Christian household, I know the story of creation. Like, if you grew up in a Christian household, you knew that one. And then when he talks about charm, it makes you question stuff, and it almost makes you deny his story about charm. It's kind of how, in a way, we're grown up to be. Like, we live with our parents and they tell us what we should believe because that's their job. They're supposed to lead us or whatever. But at the same point in time, they're indoctrinating us into what they believe and what they think we should believe too, which makes us almost close off any other possibility.
Okay. So, other comments? Reactions? How many of you, somebody who hasn't spoken yet, how many of you question King's claim that stories are powerful? And when we talk about how many different kinds of stories does he tell in the essay?